Hello, everyone, and welcome to Really Old Movies. I'm your host, Harrison Scullin. Today, we got a great show for you. Got some old movie reviews, and I'm going to be playing some Fortnite. So, with that, let's get the show started. All right, so now I'm going to start out with the movie reviews from January. Let me bring that up here real quick. All right. Okay. Get this guy out of the way. All right, perfect. So, this is on my critic list page. If you go to criticlist.com, make a profile there. I highly recommend it. Um, they're a much better version of Letterboxd where you could create groups, you can chat with people on there, as well as making movie reviews. So I highly recommend checking it out. And full disclosure, I pay for a membership there, and it's awesome. You get a lot of great tools with it, like connecting your YouTube videos to the reviews you make. It's really awesome. So shout out to them. All right, so now I'll talk about the films though I watched for the month of January. First was Holiday from 1938. This is a film that um, I've been wanting to watch for a long time. It's got Katharine Hepburn and Cary Grant in it. I think they're a great combo. I loved Bringing Up Babies, so I wanted to see another film they did together. Excellent movie. First time watch, 80%. And if you want to see more of my thoughts on it, check out the review on the YouTube channel here. Next was the film Mank. This is about, I believe his name is Howard Mankiewicz. I want to say that was his name, who was one of the screenwriters for Citizen Kane. In fact, he was the main screenwriter. And it's a Netflix movie. I'd finally gotten around to seeing it, and it was just okay. I gave it a 44%. It was definitely a style over substance kind of movie. Like, I was really excited hearing about the different actors of the time, where, learn about William Randolph Hearst more and all of that. That was fascinating and interesting. I just thought the execution wasn't great. I love Gary Oldman usually, but I felt his acting was a bit off here. Um, just the film overall was just okay, not great. All right, next is the film Greed, which I watched for the channel here. Absolutely loved it. It's a Eric von Stroheim film, 94%. Really good story about what the love of money can do to people if you're not careful, and just the different ways that they cheat each other and steal from each other. Pretty fascinating film. Highly recommend it. All right, next is the Stranger Things 5 series finale. Oh, that season sucked. I was not a fan of season 5 of Stranger Things, especially in comparison to season 4, and honestly, I liked 3 as well. Just a very disappointing series finale. I was amazed, how quickly Vecna died. He died about an hour into it. There's still a little over an hour left. I was like, wait, what's going to happen now? Um, no, it was not good. The whole season, horrible acting, uh, especially from the actor for Will, and honestly for 11. And just so many of the characters that we grew to love from the first few seasons kind of took a back burner. And we were so focused on Holly and all these kids there. Just, I was very disappointed we didn't get more time with the main cast. And that was a problem too. There were so many characters. And I'm going to spoil it here. Nobody actually dies. They did leave it open ended with 11 if she's alive or dead. But there's just no tensions here because they do these fake outs like with Steve and whatnot. and turns out he's still alive. Just overall, a horrible series finale. But honestly, that's kind of on par for the course for a lot of TV shows. A lot of shows really struggle to stick the landing. It's actually more common that they don't than they do. So anyways, that's why I gave it a 41%. All right, next was Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black Pearl. So this is a film that the Monday Hangover podcast here on YouTube by Drunk 3PO and Epic Mike and Mo Zamboni, all those guys. This was one of the movies that they were reviewing for their channel, and also Blaine, I should say, from Criticless as well, CEO of Criticless. Pirates of the Caribbean. It's one I've always loved. It's one of my favorite ones in the series. This and the second one are my favorites. Great watching it again. Just love the design of it, the feel of it, the cast, the music. All around, great film. And honestly, I hope Disney starts making their own IP, kind of like this again. But is actually good. Because they have. It just hasn't been good. Or they've just been buying. And so we'll see with this new CEO. I don't know about that, but yeah, we'll see. Anyways, Pirates of the Caribbean, 100%. All right, next is the film Sahara from 1943. This is a, what's his name? Humphrey Bogart, one of my favorite actors. A Humphrey Bogart film, and they capitalize off of his success on Casablanca. It's even on the poster for this movie. That's a much better movie. This is not that great. It's a very much a B movie, World War II film. Don't bother with it. 66%. All right, next is The Sting. So I've been wanting to get into more Paul Newman movies, and he also did a few with Robert Redford. So this is the first time I'd seen this movie. I really liked it. 85%. I like the style of it, the feel of it, and the song The Entertainer that they play all the time in it. Fits very well. I love the little title cards that kind of divide up the film. Beautifully illustrated. I'd love to get a copy of one of those. But yeah, great film, 85%. All right, next is Hook. Again, another Monday Night Hangover. They were reviewing Hook, and I did a review of this again. It's been a while since I've seen it, but just reminding myself what happens in it. It was one I'd watched a lot as a kid. It's just okay, 65%. I don't have a whole lot of nostalgia for it. You know, it came out long before I was born. I don't know. It's not my favorite Spielberg film. It's not even my favorite Peter Pan film either. It's just all right, 65%. All right, next is Tartuffe in 1926, 100 years ago. This is a film by F.W. Murnau. I actually really like this one, 86%. My thoughts of it are on the channel below, but basically it's a film about this grandson whose grandpa's being swindled out of his inheritance. So rather than confront them, he brings in a movie that shows the character Tartuffe on it going through a similar situation where he pretends to be like uber religious, you know, and whatnot, but in reality he's stealing people's money, he's sleeping around with women. He's actually not not as he seems. So I really like that, 86%. Highly recommend it. All right, next is another Monday Night Hangover film, Muppets Treasure Island. I like this one. It's one of my favorite of the later Muppet movies. I definitely like the ones that Jim Henson did much more. You know, the Muppet movie, Great Muppet Caper, and then Muppets Take Manhattan. I like those films a lot more than this one, but I still like it. I think it's a good adaptation of Treasure Island. Good cast. The only downside to me is the actor for Jim Hawkins. He's not a very good actor, especially for a kid actor. Not great. So 79%. All right, next is As Good as It Gets. So I saw Netflix had this movie. It's one I've wanted to watch for a long time because I really like Jack Nicholson. And I've been told by people that I would like it because he's kind of similar to me personality-wise. And I gotta say, he's not. This guy is crazy. I didn't like the film. I gave it a 50%. I thought it was weird. I thought the dialogue was bad. It was not a well put together film at all. So 50%. Jack Nicholson is the best part because of his crazy lines of dialogue. but it's a weird movie. I don't know, 50%. All right, next is Zodiac. So, David Fincher film. I'd never seen it, but I knew a little bit about the Zodiac Killer, and I was blown away by it, man. So good, 93%. Great cast. You know, I'm not a huge fan of Mark Ruffalo now. I feel like politics has kind of gone to his head, but um, as an actor here, though, he's fantastic. As the detective guy, so good. Jake Gyllenhaal is great. Robert Downey Jr. is great. And I believe his name is Chris Fleischer. I can't remember his exact name, but the guy who plays one of the suspects of the Zodiac Killer, he's also the voice for Roger Rabbit. He was so good as a creepy villain. I really liked him. As well as, I can't remember his name, but the bald guy, he's also in Fargo and other indie movies. He was great, too, as the main suspect for the Zodiac Killer. Yeah, excellent movie. Excellent movie. It really flies by. It's almost 3 hours long, but it went really fast for me. I really enjoyed it. 93%. Next is Tommy Boy. This is one I've seen a million times. I just finally logged it on Criticless. Absolutely love it. One of my favorite comedies. Even if it's not like super good movie wise, like it's not great camera work or anything like that. It's just really fun, really endearing. And the way that David Spade and Chris Farley play off of each other, super funny. I absolutely love it. 84%. All right, next is The Living Daylights. This is a Timothy Dalton James Bond film. I decided that I need to rewatch these. I couldn't remember if I'd seen this one or License to Kill. I couldn't remember which of the two I had seen. And the one I had seen was License to Kill. So this was a first time watch for me for Living Daylights. It wasn't too bad. I actually gave it a 63%. You could tell, though, they were still holding on to a bit of the comedy from the Roger Moore era, which is totally fine. It just doesn't fit Timothy Dalton. Timothy Dalton is a very good, serious, dramatic actor. Definitely a good idea for him being a Bond to kind of differentiate himself. I just don't think they quite had their footing yet. So once I rewatch License to Kill, then I'll kind of see where it really does come to fruition. So 63%. It's not a perfect film, but I had a good time with it. All right, the next few here are films I watched for the channel a little bit earlier in the month for the House of Hitchcock series that I'm doing with KB Loves Movies, as well as Alex and Nate of Geeks and Flicks. So first one was Sabotage. It was a rewatch for me. Still okay. Very interesting camera work, and I love the closeness and kind of the tightness within the theater there. Other than that, it was just all right, 68%. Young and the Innocent, I actually really liked that one. Everybody else seemed to not in that live stream, which I thought was funny. But I really liked it. 76%. I like the romance, and I think I'm just a sucker for those kind of movies, like kind of a screwball type, because it was a little bit. It was interesting. Next is The Lady Vanishes, 84%. That was definitely the best of the 5 that we reviewed, some of his 30s films. That one was definitely the best of the bunch. I loved the set on the train. I loved, especially once, I can't remember the character's name, but once the lady says, "Hey, have you seen this old lady?" and everybody's like, "What are you talking about?" And everybody's kind of being like, "What are you talking about? You're crazy." I was like, "Oh, Hitchcock, you got me in now, man." It's definitely a slow burn, which I think it really benefits from. Because you think, oh, okay, it's just a fun movie, you know, a lady going on a trip through Europe on a train, whatever. And then when the lady vanishes, you're like, oh, this is it, man. This is Hitchcock at his best. It's interesting that it actually isn't the last film he made before he came to the United States. The last one was the Jamaica Inn, which we also reviewed, and not very good. But, yep, Lady Vanishes, 84%, definitely the best of the bunch. And I hope I could get that Criterion at some point. All right, the last film I watched was Mrs. Doubtfire. This is a film I had watched as a kid, but I didn't really remember it, so it really felt like a first-time watch. You know what? I liked it. Or I really liked it, 83%. Robin Williams is really funny. I like the costume. And it's interesting how it ends. It's not exactly a super happy note. It's actually a bit melancholic. The husband and wife, they don't get back together. But they kind of figure out a way to move through the divorce and this new life that they're living. Pretty interesting. Yeah, 83%. I really like Robin Williams. He's really, really funny. This is one of his best movies for sure. Yeah, it'd been a long time since I had seen it. Like I said, it was pretty much like a first time watch. But yeah, those are the movies I watched. You can see I'm starting some for February already. But yeah, just follow me on Criticless here. Great site. Really great guy, Blaine. He's awesome. I love chatting with him. At some point, I'll have him back on the channel to review another movie. But yeah, make sure to follow me there in Criticless and make an account there, as well as follow the Monday Hangover for the different movies that they review each week. So now, let me switch gears here. We're going to get into the 2 movie reviews I have, and then after that, we'll play some Fortnite for a bit. So, let's start recording there. Boom, boom. Alright. Okay. So we'll start out with the first movie review. Alright, perfect. And let's turn off the chat there for a second. Perfect. Alright, so today's movie review is The Wedding March from 1926, starring and directed by Erich von Stroheim. Now let me show you the Criticlist description. Against the backdrop of Vienna's hidebound case system, aristocrat and army officer Nicky is attracted to peasant Mitzi, although he knows it cannot last. Acquiescing to familial pressure, he ultimately gives her up to marry the more socially acceptable, albeit crippled, heiress Cecilia. Mitzi, for her part, is heartbroken and must resign herself to marrying the churlish butcher Shawnee Eberly. Now, I'm totally butchering the names there. I do not speak German. And I believe it was filmed in America. It had to have been right because it was Paramount. But anyways, that's the description of the film. Now, let me show you my thoughts on the plot. The plot, I give it a 3 out of 5. I thought the story was good. The romance and the tragic ending were really good. I genuinely was not expecting it at all. But I will say this is definitely an example of style over substance. I thought the costumes were immaculate and amazing looking. And then the story itself was just okay. It wasn't super great or anything like that. Very generic and whatnot. But I really was impressed with the technical aspect of it. And I'll get into that later on. But that's why I gave the plot a 3 out of 5. Pretty generic. But again, the ending is what sold it for me, and I think will sell it for most people, for sure. All right, let's move on to the acting. The acting, I gave it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was good, especially the scenes with Fay Wray and Erich von Stroheim. I thought they did fantastic. They were definitely the best actors overall. And also the guy who played the butcher, I believe they said his name is Shaney or something like that, and he had that weird styled hair. He was great as like a menacing kind of brutish guy. I thought he did excellent there. Overall, though, I liked the cast, and I wish we had more scenes with Fay Wray and Erich von Stroheim. They were so good together on screen. And just as a side note, apparently for Fay Wray, this was one of her favorite movies to work on. And she wished that people would ask her about this and not about King Kong, which she was much more known for as playing I believe Ann Darrow. I can't remember if that's a 2005 character name or not, but she plays that character, right? The one who's picked up and taken by King Kong. She wished people asked her more about this and not that one, but it is what it is, right? You pick all these projects, and sometimes you're known for something that you don't expect or aren't super proud of, and that's the case with Fay Wray here. All right, let's move on to the set design. All right, so the set design, I gave it a 4 out of 5. Again, super amazing. The costumes, the detail, the look of it, especially in the cathedral and whatnot. It really felt like they were on location in aristocratic, I believe it's supposed to be Germany or Austria. Excellently well crafted, well put together. Von Stroheim was very meticulous, and you could definitely see here. It's not perfect, but I liked it a lot. 4 out of 5. All right, cinematography, 5 out of 5. He did so good here. Um, I don't know if he was the sole cameraman, probably not, but the shots and how they were set up and the staging and whatnot were so excellent, especially scenes like this one. I absolutely adored and loved it. It was a beautifully shot film. Um, Especially that wedding scene at the end of the film. Amazing. Just all around, just amazing camera work of this town that they were in and the different things people were going through. Excellent. 5 out of 5. All right, the music. So the version I saw on YouTube had some of the restored music to it. Shout out to, I think they're called the Vitaphone Project. Um, I'll have that linked to the clipped version of this review, but it was excellent, really well put together. They even had some of the sound effects because this was a film that had some early sound in it, incorporated into it, using the Vitaphone wax system that would sync up with the camera, just in some of the scenes. I forgot to mention in camera work, but there was a scene that was colored over with all like the soldiers marching around the town and all of that. Looked amazing. And the music to go with it was really good too. So yeah, the music is the music from the version I saw is the original score. Felt very excellent, very cinematic. Again, wasn't perfect. Like if I heard it, I'll be honest, I wouldn't recognize it, but I really liked how it fit in with the story. So 4 out of 5 for sure. All right, so overall that brings my score to a 4 out of 5, which is an 80% on Criticless. Now let me break down my Criticless score. All right, graphic language. There's some in some of the title cards. There's no spoken dialogue for the most part, other than some of the singing scenes. Like in the chapel, you have the chorus people or the choir rather. There's some dialogue there, but no graphic language is spoken. It's all in title cards, and it's very tame. Violence, not really. Just some talk of violence and some like shoving and fighting, but no blood really. Nothing gruesome or anything like that. Nudity, sexual content. There's some kissing and some low-cut dresses, kind of the time period that this takes place in, but nothing explicit. No nudity. Political bias, none. Family friendly. This is a harmless film. I think it would be perfectly fine for kids to watch. I just don't think they would enjoy it. I think they'd be pretty bored with it. And that kind of leads into entertainment value. It was very entertaining for me. I thought some of the romance scenes at the end genuinely shocked me. I thought those were some of the best moments of the whole movie. It's a very interesting story to follow along with. Now the question is, does it need to be... the version I saw was 2 hours. I don't think it needed to be 2 hours. I definitely think the pacing could have been trimmed down a bit, especially for then, because as I discussed in Greed, von Stroheim was known for going crazy with how much he would film and not wanting to edit it. Like, no, you're destroying my image of it. It's like, there's a lot that can be said with little, my friend. But it was fine. So overall, I like this movie a lot. I do recommend it. I actually liked it a lot more than Foolish Wives, which is another film he made with a similar character. I want to say it's actually the same one, but I just really like the drama in this one and the characters and all of that. It's not a perfect movie, but I had a good time with it, and I do highly recommend it. All right, well, those are my thoughts overall on The Wedding March from 1928, and that... Is it 1928? Yeah, 1928, and that concludes today's movie review. All right. So let me turn this view back on, see if we got any chats. No chats. Now let's check how the sound is sounding. I'm your host, Harrison Scullin. March from 1928, and that... Is it 1928? Yeah, 19... Perfect. All right, so now let's move on to the next one. And this one won't be coming out for a while. All right. Oh, what year did this one come out? Oh my goodness, I'm such a silly goose. Usually I have that prepared ahead of time, but I didn't for this one. 1 second. Pull it up here. Gotta say 21. 29. Oh. Way off. Okay. Alright, so today's movie review is The Andalusian Dog, or Chien Andalou. Let me backtrack. Alright, so today's movie review is Un Chien Andalou, or The Andalusian Dog, from Louis Buñuel, from 1929, and also from Salvador Dali, and that's today's movie review. Let me read the critic list description. Un Chien Andalou is a European avant-garde surrealist film, and it's a collaboration between Louis Buñuel and Salvador Dali, a famous surrealist artist. So, before I get into the review, if you're not familiar with Salvador Dali, he did the famous painting of the clocks in the desert that are kind of like hanging over and weird looking. He was a surrealist painter. Louis Buñuel, he did a lot of films too, I believe. I don't think I've seen any of his other ones, though. This is probably the first one I've seen in his filmography. But let me get into my thoughts on the plot. So the plot, I gave it a 3 out of 5. Now, here's the thing about this film. There isn't really one. It's just a series of shocking events that kind of invoked a sort of emotion within you. So they're kind of random, shocking imagery. There's a lot of theories about what the story is, but Buñuel said, I'll quote him directly here, "Do not dwell on what required purely rational, psychological, or cultural explanations. Open the way to the irrational. It was accepted only that which struck us regardless of the meaning." So basically, I kind of agree with him there. Don't try to make sense of what the story is. Talk about what shocking imagery you saw and then draw your own conclusions with it. That's the interesting thing about art, especially surrealist art. Sometimes there isn't really a message. That the message is make one, make your own meaning with it. But with that, this was my second time watching it. I wanted to give it another chance because it had been about 7 years since I last saw it. I actually liked it more this time around, but I'll be honest, I like having a bit of a plot. I don't know what I expected to be different this time around, but I really wanted to give it another chance. The non-plot aspect of it is a bit jarring, kind of hard to follow, but it isn't the reason to watch the film, if that makes sense. So I'll get into that more here, but that's why I gave the plot a 3 out of 5. Alright, the acting. I actually really like the acting, 4 out of 5. There isn't really a story, right? But the way that they're interacting with these crazy moments, like, bugs coming out of his hands, or like this scene here, he takes his mouth away, or the pianos that are attached to him with donkey carcasses and then 2 guys attached to it. A lot of really interesting reactions from the cast, and surprisingly, it felt surprisingly modern considering how it's from 1929. So I was impressed with that. That's what I noticed this time around, that the acting is actually really good considering how there isn't a plot to follow. So 4 out of 5. All right, the set design. So I mentioned those donkeys there. As far as I know, these aren't real donkeys, or if they are, they're just like taxidermy. So don't get it shut down here, YouTube. But I thought the set design, as bizarre and surrealist as it was incredible, man. 5 out of 5. Again, I mentioned the piano scene, outdoor shots, the scenes on the beach. All of it just looked and felt claustrophobic, but then also wide, and it was very interesting, very dreamlike, as other people have pointed out. I was very impressed with that. 5 out of 5. Very creative for sure. Dali and Louis Buñuel, they did really well with the design here. All right, cinematography. I was mentioning the hand with the ant scene. That was really interesting. And then the classic scene overall, of course, is the knife being drawn across the face to cut the eyeball, and with it being intercut with a scene of cloud going across the moon, and then there's actually an eye being cut. Now supposedly it's a cow eyeball. Oh, it gets me every time. It's the one scene in the movie that makes me really queasy, man. I hate that moment. There's also some other ones that I'll mention in the critic list description too that are very shocking and disturbing too. But that one for sure, there's a reason why it's the cover photo for every release of the movie, or if you find it on YouTube, they use that photo because it's just such a shocking imagery. Comes out of nowhere too. Hey, I guess that's surreal art, right? But that's why I gave it a 5 out of 5 for cinematography. All right, music. So I found a random version of it on YouTube because it's in the public domain and it's only 20 minutes long, so it's very easy to make your own version of it. I don't think the version I saw was the original score. That's why I gave it a 3.5 out of 5, because I don't think it'd be fair to give it a high score if it wasn't the one most people heard. So that's why I gave it 3.5 out of 5. Okay, so overall, that brings my score to a 4.1 out of 5, which I'm rounding to a 4 out of 5, and that's an 82% on critic list. So now let me break down the critic list score here. Graphic language, none. And there's barely any quote-unquote dialogue altogether. There's like 2 or 3 title cards, if that. There's hardly anything at all. Violence. So the close-up of the eye being cut, the dead donkeys on the piano, the ants coming out of a hand, and a severed hand. It's all very quick, but very disturbing. Kind of blink and you'll miss it kind of deal. But still very disturbing and does stick with you for sure. Nudity, sexual content. So this is what I was mentioning earlier for disturbing scenes. There's some very brief but shocking nudity. Nothing explicit is shown or anything like that. But it's definitely a lot more than you'd expect from a silent film. But it's very, very disturbing because there's, implications of rape and whatnot. So, yeah, pretty disturbing stuff. So, definitely, when I get to family friendly, it's definitely not family friendly. All right, political bias, none. Although I would consider surrealist art to be a little more, I would say a little bit more left leaning. But honestly, Dali and whatnot, they definitely were more involved politically later on. I don't think at this point they were. But this definitely is, I would say, more avant-garde, which I find to be a bit more of a left-leaning, more postmodernist kind of art style. I consider that to be left-leaning, for sure. All right, family-friendly? Not at all. The aforementioned violence and nudity alone is definitely not for children. Right, entertainment value, in the sense of it being weird and creepy and kind of gives you crazy feelings, like that was the intent of the film, I guess yes, if you like that. I don't always love that, but this time around, I was genuinely intrigued by it. I actually liked a lot of the technical aspect of it. I was very impressed with it this time around. So overall, would I recommend this movie? I would say if you're a fan of film in general, and if you like video editing, yes. But if you're just an average moviegoer, this is a bit too surrealist, I think, for most people. And I hated it when I first saw it. I believe it was in a film class in college that I saw it. I hated it. I liked it more this time around, and I'm surprised how much I did. But this is definitely not one I will watch all the time, or really anytime soon. I'll probably wait 10 years or more. And it's definitely not a film for everybody. Definitely, if you're a fan, though, of like a David Lynch or kind of more macabre, more horror kind of stuff, I think you'll like it. This is definitely not a average moviegoer type of film. All right, well, those are my thoughts on Un Chien Andalou, or The Andalusian Dog, from 1929. And that concludes today's movie review. All right, so get that back up and that back up. Okay. Close this guy. This guy. Let's hear how we're sounding. Okay. Perfect. So, move this over here. Oh, you know what? Yeah, let's bring this up here. Boom, boom. Alright. We're going to play some Fortnite. Now, I haven't played it in a while.
28, and that concludes.
We'll see how it goes. I really liked the Simpsons one. So sad when that one went away. Alright, epic. Let me open it this way, actually. There we go. Now it's loading. Continue. Oh, it's updating. Frick. Oh, good. It's almost done here. You know, if I had a bit more RAM and more storage and whatnot, I would definitely have the games queued up. But I just want to make sure it runs. It doesn't crash the stream kind of thing. So I've had that happen before. Alright, library. Okay, there's Fortnite. Oh, no. I should have checked if it was installed. Oh, no, that sucks. That's going to take forever. Okay, well, have no fear. I have another game that I like to play a lot that I'll just do here for a bit. Good old Counterstrike. We'll play that for a bit until Fortnite upgrades. Dang, I'm sorry, guys. I should have had that checked ahead of time. I feel like it should have been downloaded still, because it hasn't been that long since I last played it. Alright. I'll make sure to make a note in the chat below that I had to change it to Counter-Strike. Oh, I gotta change it to... There we go. Perfect. All right, let's do this one. I'll do a couple rounds and then I'll check on the status of Fortnite, see if we could even play it at all tonight. If not, I'll change the cover photo with Counter-Strike, and yeah, we'll go from there. Jeez Louise, man. Yeah. I made it turn down the graphics. Let's see. We're doing okay. Oh, he got me. guys are too good. I'm getting 153 per second. I'm doing pretty good. Yeah? It's not super choppy, right? Golly, man. Not doing good today. My gosh. This is so bad. Oh my gosh. Yeesh. I was just warming up there. Oh my goodness. That's embarrassing. I'll check how jittery it is when I post this on the gaming channel. Ugh, it was a freaking bot, too. Another bot. Freaking heck. Whoa. Whoa. That was bad. Oh my gosh. Look at that. 36 millisecond jitter. That is so bad. Oh my gosh. That's almost unplayable. See if that helps a bit. Looks better. No, it's still jittering, man. Okay, that's a signal problem, probably. Dang. Yeah, look at that. That is so bad. That is almost unplayable, man. Let's see. See if that helps it. Nope. Man, that's so frustrating. Well, after this round, I think I'll call it for this one. And then check on Fortnite, and if that's gonna take forever, I think we'll just have to nix having a game this week. Yeah, look at the ping there. It keeps... Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. see if that helps it. It feels smoother. Nope, it's still jittery. But it's not as bad. Feels a lot smoother though. I definitely notice a difference. I know I'm going to keep saying that, but I definitely notice a difference. It's not as choppy. Dang it. Alright, let's turn this version of it back on. Oh, I'm such an idiot. It's because I'm downloading Fortnite at the same time. Of course that's going to make it lag. But the good news is it's loaded now. Oh, I'm such a silly goose. That's so funny. Okay, well. Let's play some Fortnite. I'll probably do it for about... I could probably only do one round tonight, honestly. Let's see. I saw was the... There we go. Should be loading now. Do I not have Battle Royale downloaded? No, I don't. Not to worry though. I'll just do Blitz. Blitz is fun too. It's such a bummer, but I think I'll just have enough time to do one map here. Oh, 1 second, guys. Let me turn my mic off. All right. No. Probably helps to have the mic, huh? It's been a disaster. All right. Sorry, guys. I'll have to do it another time.